of the additional funds to higher education. Khaye Mkhonyane, the spokesperson for the Higher Education Department, joins me now live. Mr. Mkhonyane, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Before we discuss funding issues, we have to address what's happening at campuses across the country, extending, I would say, beyond issues of funding. You heard our reporters there talking in depth about what's happening at NWU and the University of the Free State. Are there any plans to intervene and try and calm the situation?
Well, I must say that firstly, the minister and the department are quite concerned about what is happening across in this particular university, University of Pretoria, Northwest University, University of Free State. We are worried about the degeneration of any form of protest into a violent protest, into damage of property. Also, again, this new assumption of racialized kind of clashes in our institution. Universities are institutions that should demonstrate the high level of tolerance, inclusiveness, and peaceful demonstration if there's any dissatisfaction that must happen. But we are seeing now the emergence of criminal elements that even they have courage to even ban building, as we have seen in Northwest University, compromising the future generation who will need those structures to study as they are using them currently. So we're quite condemning in strong terms what is happening. And I must say that the minister from day one has been engaged in all of these issues in terms of communicating with stakeholders inside this institution, vice chancellors, executive management, student leadership, in terms of finding solutions to all the issues that are raised as demands, starting from University of Cape Town, UCT, UP, University of Free State now who are seized with the matter. We are engaged. It's not a question of when are we going to address the matters. We are engaged. Some of the announcements that the institutions are making are as a consequence of consultation with us and what we guide them to do in terms of calming the situation, but also bringing normality, so that, because our immediate interest is to ensure that we deal with the issues that might be the causal effect of the protest, but also at the same time restore immediately the academic program, as it were.
All right, Mr. Mkhonyane, how are those talks proceeding, and will you continue to address the situation with the students and with the student management?
Well, we are hoping that we are going to sort these matters out in all these affected universities. Obviously, issues are not the same. The issue around the University of Pretoria is related to the language issue, which the institution itself, as early as last year, had assembled a task team that dealt with the issue. And in principle, there's an acceptance that the English language must be the language of instruction. All what is left now is for the council to take a decision, so that there's an amendment of statute, so that you codify that decision that as a policy. So unfortunately, the meeting that was supposed to communicate that to student leadership, unfortunately became the meeting that degenerated into racial clashes, and that message could not come through. But those issues are being dealt with. That's why even the Vice Chancellor issued a statement with regard to the issue of language in that institution. The University of Free State issue is a matter of workers, the insourcing movement, in the same way as it happened in TUT, in UP, and UNISA. And the management has been grappling with the issue. So this issue of Monday came as a consequence of a tactic by the workers to raise their concern in that fashion. to go into the stadium and disrupt the match and so on, and the racial clashes that cropped up as a consequence of that. Otherwise, that matter would have never arisen in that university. But obviously, we have to deal with the fact that there are racial polarization in that institution. And as government, we have a policy, social inclusion policy, that we are promoting in all our institutions, which actually emphasizing racial unity, racial cohesion, and there should be structures in place in all our institutions to ensure that we institutionalize this, we enforce this, we keep it in motion. So we think that this highlights the fact that we have to push even quite more in that regard. But in relation to the restoration of academic process, working with the management there's an anticipation that as of next week, Monday, there could be a resumption of the academic process. As from today, tomorrow and over the weekend, we're working it hard to deal with the issue, to normalize the situation.
All right, Mr. Mkhonyane, thank you very much for your time. We'll have to leave it there. That's Khaye Mkhonyane, the spokesperson for the Higher Education Department, joining us from our parliamentary studios in Cape.